the main role in a cyber security is a authentication. Authentication means only the authorized person can authenticate. So there is a different methods are used for the authentication, right? So in this section we are going to discuss about the authentication methods available in a real time and real world. What the methods organization are using, we will discuss in this session. So first is a authentication methods and the access control. So what is the authentication methods and what is the authentication, what is the authorization, what is the access control? So access control is just a system which is the set of the technical security controls that govern how subject are permitted to interact with the object. Here are two things: subject, interact with the object. So what is the subject? Subject is a user, device, software, processes. These are the subject. Like, yes, of course, user is a subject, and also the object are the network, servers, database and files and so on. For the example here, like there is a CEO of the organization. He have created some secret file. This is the secret file, and secret file will only accessible and viewed or modified by the CEO. If any other user, like this is the user or the normal person, will not able to access this file, means normal user or anyone else from the CEO cannot access this file because this is the secret file. So this is the object and this is a user. Similarly, there is a directory are available inside the organization, like share directory. So this is the shared directory and everyone can put the data. Put the data means like SSH or the FTP. FTP service SSH is accessing this file. So these are the processes. This is object. These are subject. So the control, access control is going to be control over the subject and the object, how they will interact. Means which permission for which subject is available to access which object. Got it, guys? This is very simple. So user, device or the software will access which network, which server, which database, which file and so on. So access control, whatever written, they are written in a list. Means there is a list. On the behalf of the list, they will access their object. So this list known as a access control list. So what is the access control list? Access control list is just a collection of the entries, access control entries that determine which subject, account, host IP address and so on are allowed or denied to access the object. The privilege given, also read only or the read write. Means first is accessible or not. If accessible, then in the form of the read or in the form of the read and write. So this is the access control list. And on the behalf of the access control list, like if you are using the Linux or other operating system and you want to check the shadow file, so as a normal user you are not permitted to check this file. So permission denied means you are not permitted. Other authentication methods, what are the authentication methods? So first and well known method is IAM. IAM stand for Identify and Access Management. Who are accessing which website? So this process provide identification, authentication, authorization mechanism for the users, computer and other entities to work for the organizational asset like network, operating system, application, means subject, object. So there is a three things. One is a identification, four things. Another is a authentication, then authorization, then accountability. What happen? You are open the Facebook first time or any other website, you are accessing the gmail.com or any other website. It is asking first provide your identification. First provide your identification. Show me your identity card. What you know, what you have. So identification is a user account. Once you will put your user account or the email address, then it will ask your authentication. Means username is your identity and password is your authentication mechanism. If you are providing the wrong password, so you will not authorized. You will not be authenticated. Once you will provide the correct username and password, user is a identification, password your authentication. Once you will provide the authentication, now you are authorized. Authorization means when you logged in on the Facebook first time, so can you access all the group? Of course no. Can you watch all the timelines? Of course no. The person who is in your friend list, you can watch, you can see their timelines. This is the authorization. Means you are authorized to check the resource or what are the resources are available for you. You are login on the Facebook, it doesn't means you have the complete authorization to access their server, their code, their blah blah blah. You cannot authorized to access everything. And another one more thing which is very important, it is called accounting. Account means tracking to the user what resource the user are accessing and what resource trying to access. If you are trying to any unauthorized access and you are detected, so there will be alert will be generated. Alert will be generated and the log also will be generated and saved. So what is the IAM? IAM is identification, authentication, authorization and accountability. It is known as a identify access management. Got it? Next, move on. So the authentication is good, but only the authentication is not good. For the example, I have the username and the password. So if anybody know my username and the password, he can access the my resources. He can access my account. So this is simply if by mistake I write somewhere username and password and someone get it, or my password is a weak and someone get the password, or my password is in a data breach. So how the security will be enhanced? The organization are enhancing the security of the authentication. They are using the two factors for the authentication. Means you will have to provide two mechanisms for the authenticating, or it is called multi-factor. So generally account or the authentication happened based on the identity and credential, means username and password. There is just some other things, or the two or more factor are used for the authentication, known as a multi-factor. Only two factors are used for the authentication, known as a two-factor authentication. For the example, you are logging on the Gmail and you have the two authentication factor enabled. So when you will enter the username and the password, the one short message or OTP sent on your mobile phone. And if someone get the username and password and hacker get my username and password, he will try to log in. So he required one more factor, means he required my mobile number for getting the OTP. So there is a two factor. First factor using the username and password. Second factor getting the OTP on my mobile phone. This is the basic example. So what the other factors can be used? One is a knowledge factor, ownership factor, human factor, behavior factor, or the location factor. So first is a knowledge factor. Let's talk something you know. What you know? Password, PIN number, these things you know and you can remember and have in mind. What you have? Ownership, like a smart card. Smart card you have, like you are entering the username and password, now enter the smart card. What you are? Human factor. Human factor means what you are, like fingerprint. Only the you, no one else having the same thing. Means the fingerprint, your iris, your voice, these things will be considered as a human factor. And behavior factor. Behavior factor means like making the signature on the image, making the signature. So this is the behavior. What is your behavior? And another factor is a location factor. Location factor means if your device under your organization, then only you can log in. If you on the another location, so you will not be authenticated. So these are the factors which can be used for the authentication. When the single factor are used, it is known as a single authentication factor. When the two factor are used in a combination, known as a two factor authentication. When the more factor are used, it is known as a multi-factor authentication. Got it? It is simple and basic. So one more thing here, like you are doing the authentication, one is called is local authentication. What is the meaning of the local? Means local service, local computer. Local computer means like my computer, your computer, this computer known as a local computer, and my Linux system is known as a local computer. And on the local computer, you can log in with the help of local username and the password. On the Windows, I am talking about the Windows operating system, where you can put the username and password, then you will be logged in. Sometime the user name already written, you need to type the password and you will be sign in. Another is a Windows network sign in. When you are signing over the network like AD, Kerberos, means network, you are login over the network, it is known as a network sign in. Another is a remote sign in. When you are accessing any system remotely, it is known as a remote sign in. So now the question is that how the local computer or the Windows computer know your username and password is correct? How it is know? Ultimate is have a database inside the window. It has a database where your username and password are saved. This database is known as a SAM database. So with the help of the same database, you are authenticated, means you are authenticated your username and password is correct or not. So if I know the location of the SAM database or a hacker know the location of the same database, so hacker will go on this location and find out the password. But hacker cannot do it. Why? Because all the passwords are saved in a hash format. Means all the passwords are saved in a hash format. It is known as a cryptography algorithm, which is used for encrypting your password. For the example here, this is the password, this is the hash value, this is not actually the password. So all the passwords are saved in a SAM database, but in the form of the encrypted hash. Similarly, the local authentication happened over the Linux as well, where the Linux username and password are saved into the etc passwd, and the user information and the password information are exist inside this file etc shadow. When you go on this file, you can see the data or your password are saved in a encrypted format or in a hash value. So what is the hash value, we will discuss later in a hash in cryptography session. So secure shell we are accessing by using the remotely we will use the secure shell or login remotely on the remote computer. There is another type of the authentication happened in a Linux. It is called PAM. PAM means pluggable authentication module. Pluggable means anything you can plug. Plug means like USB. You can plug the USB. You can plug the smart card, swap the smart card, or this type of the fingerprinting means all the physical things are used for the authentication known as a PAM. There is a one and very well known and used nowadays in a authentication. It is known as a single sign on, SSO. Single sign on means you need to access the single thing and you can access all the things. Means log in one time and access all the things. For the example, you are logging on the Gmail by using your username and password. You can access the Google Drive, you can access the Google Photos, and you can access the Docs, Excels, and all the files. So all these happen by single sign in. Do you need to sign in every time to all the services? No. You will log in the one time and you can access all the services. This is called single sign on. You will log in the single and then you can sign on.